All right, happy Labor Day, everybody out there in podcast land. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, as always, is with me on today's episode. We will be discussing, it is Labor Day, so who are the Avalanche's hardest workers for this roster? I got a couple that's jumped out. When you threw that question out to me, I like right away, there's two guys that jumped out immediately. So we'll talk about that. We will look at some milestones within the Avalanche franchise and individual milestones. Could there be some this season for the Avs? And the network at Locked On NHL, all of the hosts did a poll to come up with who has the best uniforms or jerseys in the NHL. So we have the top 10 and the bottom 10, which we will discuss. And if you're listening to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, you're probably not going to be happy. But let's get to it. Wrong one.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Labor Day is always bittersweet because it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're in the industry, you get a day off, you have an extra day off for the weekend, but it always signals like the end, the like unofficial end of summer, which is good and bad because everybody likes summer, but the good, like right around the corner is some of the good stuff. You got fall around the corner, which means football season is here, and you have the hockey season like a month away. So good and bad. I don't know if I ever asked you, like, if you have a favorite season of the
It's got to
four.
be fall or winter. I can never get cold enough. The summer kills me, and I'm a single
Yeah.
dad, so summer's no fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with cold, like you can get yourself warm.
Yeah.
In hot, in like death hot, like it's very difficult to get yourself cool. So I'm kind of with you on that, but I do like the two. I'm a fall fan and definitely a spring fan too. So
Yeah.
like the depths of winter, I could do without. It's a little bit too when it gets too like in the single digits, like I can do without that.
I'll be out there in shorts.
You're one of those guys. You're oh, I know. I have some friends that are like that. I could never be that guy. Yeah, that's you. All right. Thank you everybody for tuning in to Locked On Avalanche, making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. You can follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe and get notified when a new show goes live. For today, all right, let's get started with, because it is Labor Day, and you throw out guys that really work hard, and for the Avalanche, I think the one from yesteryear is Matt Calvert. I think he is Mr. Labor Day. If we're gonna anoint someone with the title, but for the current roster, anybody on that current roster that jumps out at you as like these are the workhorses for the Colorado Avalanche?
When I threw this question at you, I had one guy in mind, and one guy that never gets talked about and should. Number one, especially last year, I feel like Bo Byram is Mr. Labor Day.
In a different kind of way. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about him, but he worked his butt off to get back just on the ice and just play.
And he wasn't just getting back on the ice either. He played a integral role in the playoffs. Like, it wasn't just getting back and acclimated and occupying a spot on the roster. He actually performed really, really well when he did.
Yeah. That's a good one, and I think you're going to see even more of that. Like, if that guy can stay healthy, yeah, he's a definite workhorse. For me, there's two that jumped out at me. One is could potentially be on the roster, and we talk about him here every once in a while, but it was a very unfortunate end to his season, and that's Jacob McDonald. That guy, he when you're playing for your favorite team when you were a kid, you just go all out. And he
Yeah.
absolutely, like, the second he came out on the ice, like, I fell in love with the guy because he is just working his butt off. He knows he knows that's what he needs to do in order to stay at the NHL level. And he never takes a shift off ever.
Yeah.
I'm rooting so hard for McDonald this year to make this team because I not only because like I like seeing like guys like that get a roster spot, but he could genuinely make a difference on this team on the defensive end. I honestly
Yeah.
think he could. I really do.
Yeah. I really like that pick. Like when you said that, I was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
like perfect." Like he fits that role really well, and he's just nonstop grinding.
We
Like when
kind of
he's out
needed
there, he's like a buzzsaw.
yeah, like you needed someone to take like the Matt Calvert role.
You did.
He kinda did that, like, when Calvert tried to come back, and had the pink visor and everything, hoping that would help, and it didn't, and he left, and it was Jacob McDonald who kinda came he wasn't getting, like, huge minutes, but every time he went out there, they were meaningful,
Yeah.
playing really meaningful minutes. So, definitely Jacob McDonald. And the other one for me is Val Nichushkin.
Yeah.
Val
Yeah.
Nichushkin is the and when you're, a couple different reasons why. Number one, just on the ice, when you are a forechecking machine, you are working so much harder than everybody else out on the ice because you have to play the full 200-foot game. Even when if your team turns the puck over, a lot of guys just start backtracking. You have to stay on the puck. He does it so well. He just works his butt off. And then, you could even just say from where he was in his career,
Mhm.
he had to work hard to get another shot with any team because nobody wanted him. And we all know the story now that the Avs gave him the shot, and now a great contract went his way because of how hard he worked once he got on the ice for the Avs.
It kept pushing through the playoffs on one good foot. Like
Yeah.
that I
Yep.
mean, seeing the pictures of his foot afterwards, you're like, "Man, that is a hockey player." And
Yeah.
yeah, Val is definitely Mr. Labor Day.
So,
It
got another one or what?
Yeah, the second one, I mean, it has to be Taser. Like,
Yeah.
he had 66 games, and, like, you ask him, like, he doesn't have bad games. He gets out there and
No.
does what he has to do, and he's not out there going for the shine and the star power. He's just going out there to make the team better, and he's your prototypical lunch pail player. Like, he
Yeah.
goes out there, does his job, goes home. Like,
He
that's
just seems like he
it's the
does it.
American dream.
Yeah, it seems like he just he never has a bad game or he never has a bad shift. He just always
Nope.
seems to do the right thing. He's at the right place at the right time. You very seldom are you wondering what's wrong with Devon Taves.
Yep.
He just seems to be Johnny on the spot type of guy. So, um, and it's really easy to not bring up Nathan McKinnon, but you have to.
Yeah.
That guy works harder than anybody out on the ice gaming. He's going to outwork you. He really is. And I think it's just easy for us because he's a superstar. We talk about him so much to forget the work ethic that this guy puts in on and off the ice. So you have to mention him for someone that's, an incredibly hard worker for them.
And you could easily make that same case for Cale Makar and the shifts that he was putting that Tampa Bay was forcing him to make in the cup final, that they were putting him out there for over like a minute and a half, and he had some very long shifts, and they were really trying to
Mhm.
exhaust him, and it did not phase Cale Makar. So both Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar with their conditioning, like try and make them slow down, and they're just going to make you hurt.
No. When you have guys that get better as the game goes on or stronger as the game goes on, that's all conditioning. And that's intentional. Like when
Hmm.
you're getting dog tired, these guys look like they have fresh legs. So
Yep.
um I want to hear about it in the comments. And it can be old players too. I mean, we talked mainly about the current roster, but and we had to bring up Matt Calvert just because you have to. But who do you guys like? And even if it's on
Francois
another team,
Beauchemin, anybody?
yeah. Even if it's on another team, someone that you enjoy watching just because their work ethic is so good, throw it out there in the comments. All right, we're gonna hear from Built Bar, and then we're gonna get into some potential milestones for the Avalanche this season. maybe franchise milestones or individual milestones. We will discuss that, as well as the jersey ranking from the Locked On NHL network. But first, Built Bar, and we went to the Built Bar website because sometimes we don't get the read that we have to do maybe isn't 100% updated. So we like to go to built.com to see what they have. And good thing that we did first last week or a couple weeks ago was the pina colada flavor. And now they do something with the BYU Cougars. They have created a Built Bar, actually a Built Bar Puff, in conjunction with the BYU Cougar football team. And this thing is called the Cougar Tail. Now, I didn't know this about BYU, but apparently people line up for miles. It's like a new iPhone coming out for a BYU maple bar. So we had to go Google this thing. I got to get me to a BYU Cougar game because these things look good. They look good.
Looks sinful for BYU.
Yeah. They're a 16-inch maple bar. So what did Built do? They created a Built Puff. Cougar Tail is what they call it. So you can go to built.com right now and get the BYU Built Cougar Tail Puff Bar. And you can use the Locked On 15 promo code to get 15% off of your order. And that's off of any order. And the cool thing that they're doing with this as well is the purchase of every Cougar Tail Puff supports the Built for Good initiative to help feed millions of kids around the country. And Built has partnered with BYU and their athletics department to provide opportunities to get involved and help alleviate child hunger. So not only are you eating something delicious and good for you, you're helping the kids too. It's good all around.
Combining my two loves, Built Bar and Cougars.
And with that, you just go to built.com. Once again, use the promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off of your order. All right, Mr. Cougar. Let's milestones for the Avs. The amazing thing when you threw this out to me and like I started kind of looking up stuff, the amazing thing is, this team obviously won a Stanley Cup, and they had players that had incredible stats and stuff like that. But when you look at kind of where they are in franchise ranking, like not a lot of people are showing up. You know what I mean? Like, and you have guys that have been around for a while. Like Nathan McKinnon is there. Gabe Landeskog is there for some things. That's really it. Just those two guys. You're gonna have Cale Makar when he gets, that's the beauty of this team is they're that young and they're just starting out, that they've already got a Stanley Cup in their pocket. And as far as where they stand franchise-wise, they got a long way to go.
Yeah, you have current Avalanche Gabe Landeskog sitting at number 5 for games played. And when it comes to career numbers, like it's about top 5 is about as close as you're getting. You still have a long way to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, for games played, Joe Sakic leads that with 1,378. Like you said, Gabe Landeskog is number 5 with 738. So he's like just past halfway there, and is already halfway through his career. I mean, he's more than halfway through his career, I would say. So you're not going to catch that. But where was the one? So the thing that I'm going to be looking at is for, I think it was career goals. You have Gabe Landeskog at number 6 with 248 and Nathan McKinnon right behind him at number 7 at 242. So two things are going to happen this year. They're both going to pass Anton Stasny, who's at 252. So they'll both pass him. So they'll be number 5 and 6. But Nathan McKinnon will likely pass Gabe Landeskog in the process.
Yeah.
Because there's no way Gabe Landeskog is going to score as many goals as Nathan McKinnon. So you're going to have Nathan McKinnon really jumping two guys, and he will be sole possession of number 5 all time for Colorado Avalanche by the end of this year, with Milan Hajduk above him at 375. So he'll be probably less than 100 to go to get to number 4. So it's going to take some time to even get to number 4. So once we get where these two guys are, might be another few years before they break into the top 4.
And it's crazy to see that stat with all the years that Nathan McKinnon's been chasing a 100-point season, and Gabe Landeskog's still scoring more goals. You
Right.
wouldn't think that. You would not think that at all.
No. And let's see. So that was the other one I was looking at was points, just overall points. Nathan McKinnon is 6th with 648. Above him is Peter Forsberg at number 5 with 755. So Nathan McKinnon would have to have his first ever 100-point season plus 8. I'm sorry. So he'd have to have 108 points to overtake Peter Forsberg this year. I say he does it this year.
Ooh.
I am going on a prediction right here and saying Nathan McKinnon gets exactly 108 points. Nay, 109 points. We'll just put him 2 over. We'll say 109 points for Nathan McKinnon this year, and he takes over 5th place and passes Peter Forsberg for 5th on the Avalanche all-time scoring list.
I respect
Tell me
that.
I'm wrong.
I'm going to ride with it. I mean,
yeah,
if his body holds up, contract year.
That's exactly right. And if the contract is not signed, going by opening day, anything is possible. They could sign it at any point during the season. But I would kind of go out there and say, like, yeah, I think Nathan McKinnon would just want to focus on hockey. And he could, because he just let his agent take care of it. So I guess if we're saying it doesn't get signed by opening night, they don't touch it during the season, and he goes off. And you get 109 points from him.
You know what? I'll join you on that.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
109. Giddy up 109.
All right.
And like I bring all this up because last year we like to talk about last season, and it's great. We won the cup and everything. We shattered the points for a season, like in the individual, but that's about it. When you keep going down like the rest of the season stats, like the best seasons in Avalanche Quebec history, the rest of the team doesn't make it on that list. It's still heavy Quebec when it comes to single season records.
Yeah.
So it's surprising to see that the Avalanche last year, with all the hardware they took home, were not shattering a lot of the single season records, and they're still so far behind on individual records. It really puts things in perspective. Where last year I've heard the where do you go? What motivates you for this next season? There's still a lot of ground to be made for this team to be legendary. And we're talking about 95, 96, and 01 teams. This current team has a lot of ground to make up to rank with where those players ended up.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at, like you're saying, you look at season leaders for everything. You have Robert Goulet. No, Michel Goulet. You even have, let's see. So you only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 times in franchise history, there's been a 50 goal scorer. Could you get that? I mean,
it would be in this 109 year for Nathan McKinnon.
It would be guys like Nathan McKinnon. I mean, if Mikko Rantanen really got hot during the course of a season, but that's a big ask for him. It's tough. It's not easy to do. So, I mean, yeah, you have 8 guys that have done it. Milan Hajduk was one guy that actually did it. It's tough. So it's tough to predict, like, a guy can score 50 goals. I think, what's his name on Toronto had it?
Austin Matthews.
I think he was the only one, right? I don't know if anybody else had 50 goals. I'd have to go check, but bottom line is there's not a lot of people that get to do it.
No, and it's especially hard to do with the Colorado Avalanche when there's only one puck.
Because there's a lot going around. There's a lot of points going around.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But interestingly enough, where is it here? On season leaders, we do have somebody that leads in something. And that is Nathan McKinnon in 2018, 2019, he led the league in shots, which is also the most ever for an Avalanche player. He had 365. The most before that was Joe Sakic in 95, 96. So the first year they moved to Denver, he had 339. So and Nathan MacKinnon. So it goes Nathan MacKinnon number 1, Joe Sakic 2 and 3, and Nathan MacKinnon number 4, and then Nathan MacKinnon number 6, and Nathan MacKinnon number 8. Dude shoots.
Yeah,
We knew that, but
that kind of goes with the territory. You know what you're getting with Nathan MacKinnon,
right. So I don't know. I don't think in terms of like individual season points or assists or goals, like you'll see anybody up there. So for points, I said Nathan MacKinnon. I'm predicting 109. That still wouldn't be top 10 for franchise history. The lowest is Peter Stastny with 111. So that's the lowest. Highest is Peter Stastny with 139. I don't think anybody's touching that for a while. So
that's it's gonna be really hard to do on this team.
yeah,
It's
you had everybody talks about that Ryan Graves year where he was like plus 40. Well, Cale Makar was a plus 48 last year, and Devon Toews was a plus 52 last year as well, and Mikko Rantanen was a plus 35. So, and none of those Devon Toews is tied for second. Goulet had a plus 62. I mean, when you look at these things, you're like, this is a franchise who has really good numbers for the best all time. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure most franchises are this way, but these are very difficult numbers to take over. And here we are sitting with when it's all said and done, probably some of the greatest Avalanche to ever play for this team. And as far as an individual season goes, they might not touch any of these records.
And
That's
how
pretty
many
crazy.
people do you see walking around with Goulet jerseys? When it's like the
Not
Quebec jerseys, you see
no,
Sakic, Forsberg. You do not see Goulet.
no, hardly ever. Or sometimes you see like a Stastny, like a Peter Stastny one or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, you don't. You don't. It's really, really interesting. So I don't know if there's any records or achievements that you think the Avalanche could reach this year on a personal level for individual players. Let us know. It's gonna be difficult, and I know this isn't like what you go for. You go for the trophy, obviously, but it is nice to live like when you have records like this and you're looking at these things. All right, so you're looking at like most goals was scored in 82, 83. Most assists was in 81, 82. Most points was in 81, 82. All of these things are from early 80s, maybe like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like if you were to witness one of these current players to break that is a big moment. And that's something that you want to experience, if you ask me.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that you could look forward to this year, especially with his talent. So
Yeah,
that's something to look forward to.
could happen. Could happen. So, and I know it's tough. The game was played differently back then than it is now. So we shall see. So it just makes the game fun. Yeah. All right. The Locked On NHL hosts all got together and did some voting for who they feel is the best jerseys around the league. So if you follow us on Twitter, you know what these are, but we haven't had a chance to talk about them. I talked about them with Adam, but you and I have not had an opportunity to discuss it. So we'll look at the top 10, and then they also released the bottom 10. What's in between? We don't know. They didn't release those. I don't know what they are. So you're going to be upset because the Avalanche are not in the top 10, but they're not in the bottom 10. So they're somewhere in the middle there.
In
Maybe
the middle
they
12.
just missed out and they're at number 11. I'll go find out if I can get the full list just so I have peace of mind and know where they stand. But if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to throw these up in the stream. There you go. There's the top 10. There you go. And if you're listening in your car at home or whatever, I'll read them off to you. So number 10 is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Number 9 is the Boston Bruins. Number 8 is the San Jose Sharks. Number 7 is the Minnesota Wild. Ugh. Number 6 is the New York Rangers. Number 5 is the Buffalo Sabres. 4 is the Seattle Kraken. 3 is the Detroit Red Wings. 2 is the Arizona Coyotes. Number 1, donning the Nazem Kadri jersey, is the Calgary Flames at number 1. Do you have any issues with these, Mr. Sullivan?
Sure do. I would take that number 1, slide it out, move it down, push the Kraken up, Detroit up, Arizona to the number 1,
Okay.
Calgary down to about that 4 or 5 spot. Buffalo Sabres, you have to be kidding me.
I don't get that.
I love the black and red buffalo head. That is
But that's not what
my
we're voting on.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. That
Yeah.
one is literally my favorite hockey jersey of all time.
Okay.
And it's not what we're voting on. So I don't know why they're sitting at number 5.
I don't
That
know.
is
It confuses me at how Buffalo is at number 5. I have no idea. And this was like the voting was done, I think, even before Buffalo announced that they were bringing back
yeah.
the black and red. Like it wasn't even a thing. Like it was all rumors. So I'm with you there. Buffalo doesn't deserve to be in the top 10. And it's not because I can't stand the team and they're a rival. I don't get Minnesota in the top 10 at all.
They would be 10 or 11. I'd bump the Sharks up. Definitely.
Sharks I love. I've always loved the Sharks uniforms. I love their colors. I would bump them up. And I've always been a fan of the logo of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I have been. And I said this when I was talking with Adam. It's just it's a logo of, their animal actually playing hockey. It's not just his head, or it's not just an outline of a penguin. Like the penguin is playing hockey. He's got skates. He's got a stick. He's like, I love that. I think it's a good logo.
Yeah, especially if you can look at the logo and know what sport and already get half of it. Like if you get that going, like it's a good logo.
Yeah. And honestly, like I do feel like the Avalanche should be right near the bottom of the top 10, I would say. I think they should be in like the 8, 9, or 10. And that's why I'm going to go find out where they are, because I'm willing to bet they're like maybe like 11 or 12 and just missed out in the top 10. I think the Avalanche have one of the best color schemes in sports.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And the logo is perfect. And I love the fact that they haven't changed the logo. They've kept it the same. And you have, the hockey puck kind of like swooshing around the A. It's a great logo. It's a great color scheme. And if it's low, if it's like, 1920, I'm going to be upset about that. It's a solid, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best logo, but it's definitely a solid one and deserving of low end top 10, if you ask me.
And I think if Seattle has one playoff run, they're going to live in the top 5 of these jersey rankings for the rest of our life.
I got to give them credit. Like they nailed it with the last 2 expansion teams. One absolutely nailed it. One made you barf. And the Kraken absolutely crushed it. So yeah, it's not that I hate the Calgary uniform. I don't know. Like it's not number 1 to me. It's not. And I wouldn't even put Arizona at number 1, if you ask me. Like, fine. Arizona's is a top
so
5.
good.
I know everybody loves it. I'm not as much in love with it as everybody is. It's a very good uniform. I kind of like more just classic looking ones. And that's why I would put the New York Rangers at number 1. I'd put the Rangers at 1. I'd probably put Detroit at 2, and I would put Seattle at 3. I gotta give Seattle color scheme is great.
Yep.
Great big beefy logo with the Kraken eye in the middle of the S or the top of the S. It's good. It's good stuff.
You know what? I'd take Calgary out of the top 10 and I'd put New Jersey in there. Somewhere between 5 and 10.
Ooh, then you are not going to be happy, sir.
No.
No. As we segue into the bottom 10, let me get this loaded up here.
Oh, they don't do it to my
Here
boys.
we go. There's your bottom 10,
What?
including the New Jersey Devils. So the bottom 10, 23 is the New York Islanders, 24 is the Dallas Stars, 25 is the New Jersey Devils, 26 the Vegas Golden Knights, 27 is the Florida Panthers, 28 is the Philadelphia Flyers. That's a little surprising to me. 29 is Chicago Blackhawks. 30 is the Washington Capitals. 31 is the Anaheim Ducks. And the worst uniform in the NHL, according to our Locked On host, is the Columbus Blue Jackets at 32. When I saw this, man, that jumped out to me was the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey has no business being on the bottom 10.
No.
That's a solid uniform. That's a solid logo. Awesome colors, black and red and white. That I don't know how New Jersey got so low on this. I don't agree with that one at all. I think the only two on there that I don't agree with are that and the Flyers. I mean, the Flyers
Yeah.
are a bad team, but they don't have a bad uniform.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
No.
I don't get
The
that.
Flyers is a classic looking logo. The Devils, no, this is
Yeah,
it'll
we
get
need
me off on
to
a
file a
tangent about the
grievance.
Devils. Yeah,
Yeah.
I won't stand for that. I feel sorry for Jay. Locked On Jackets, like, 32, that's rough. The Ducks, I feel like that's just everybody revolt. They want the old school Anaheim Mighty
Mm,
Ducks logo.
yeah.
The Capitals is dumb. The Blackhawks logo has aged as good as milk. The Dallas Stars logo, I liked their 90s style. I've never been a fan of this new Dallas
I
Cowboys
I
weird
don't
green.
I like the green. Believe it or
Mm,
not, I do like it. It's a deeper green. Like I like it. I don't like I think the logo is very simplistic.
yeah.
It's just a D with a star around it. Like, okay, you could have done better than that. But the colors, I actually do like the colors of the Dallas Stars. Believe it or not.
But don't tell Dallas to get creative. They did have the Mooterist jersey for a long
Yeah,
time.
right.
That was ugly.
For me, yeah, Columbus is. I just it does nothing for it. Like that uniform is just so plain.
I love their alternates though. That
Which one's
blue with it's got like the old school, like just the round logo with the
Oh,
cannon in
yes.
the middle. That's a
Yes.
very good jersey.
That is awesome. I have to give them credit for that. But I wouldn't put them as the worst. I would put them I would kinda like you were saying, I'd move everybody down. I'd move everybody down a peg, and I would put Vegas right at 32. It's just another reason why I cannot stand this team. Their logo is horrible. Their color
And
scheme is terrible.
their minor league team has a better logo than they
They
do.
do. They really do. That one's really cool. But it's just ugly. It's just like it's the puke emoji is the Vegas Golden Knights uniform. I don't know. Any in the top 10 or bottom 10 that you would have slotted in there that is not in the top 10 or bottom 10?
You know, I would swap. I wouldn't so much the placement, but the two slides we looked at, I would swap. I would swap Calgary and New Jersey. The Calgary jersey just doesn't do it for me. Like
Yeah.
it's
I don't,
very basic.
yeah.
And New Jersey isn't.
No.
It definitely has like you look at it, it's got swagger.
Yeah. I
Calgary looks
always
like
like it.
McDonald's.
Yeah. I don't know. I think people just are in love with the color scheme for some reason. It's not horrible. I wouldn't put it in the bottom
No.
10, but it's not. I don't feel like it's the number one uniform in the league at all. Um, Again, maybe this is me going back to just liking the traditional teams and logos. I think Montreal should be in the top 10. I
Yeah,
do.
the
I
toilet seat.
Yeah, I think they should be in the top 10. That's just one that's been around forever and hasn't changed at all. So I like that. In the bottom 10, I've never liked another toilet seat in the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
Never liked the Canucks logo. I just don't like that C and how the top part of it.
It's better
Like
than
I don't like it.
that weird one they had in the 90s. The red and black and yellow.
I like that better.
Ooh.
Honestly, I don't like that a ton, but I like that one better. Um, if the Kings still had the Gretzky era,
Ooh,
logos,
yes.
that's a
Number
top
1.
10. That is a top 10 all day, all night. And again, when I was talking with Adam, like he likes St. Louis. He likes the Blues uniforms, and there's some uniforms from the Blues that I kind of like with the blue and the yellow. I feel like that's a, and I think I think they have a good logo. I think their logo
I
is fine.
St. Louis goes right in the middle of this list. They are not great, they're not
Mhm.
bad. It's right smack dab in the middle. Like,
Yeah.
it's a passing grade.
And then two other ones that I would put in the bottom. One is Nashville. Just
Yeah.
I hate that logo.
I hate
I
the
can't
color.
stand it. Yeah, the color's not the best.
The mustard cats, I can't stand
Yeah,
that color.
um, just never liked that. And then it was funny when I was, doing the episode with Adam, I kind of had to put it out there, like, dude, I'm not a fan of Tampa Bay. It's Tampa Bay's is
Boring.
very basic, and
Yeah.
I told them like there's not a lot you can do with it. It's a lightning bolt, so it's not like you have to do things to the other parts of the jersey. And there's been times where they have done that,
Mhm.
but they just have it's a lightning bolt with a circle around it.
You know,
Cool.
one that does surprise me that is not in this bottom,
Mhm.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, I don't. I I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I don't think. I think that would be just on the verge of these bottom 10. It's. I don't think it's deserving of being in the bottom 10, but it's nowhere near the top 10 at all. So
Your team name is the Jets. We are on the heels of Top Gun: Maverick being the best movie of all time. You could do something with that.
yeah, that's true. That's true. So let me see if there's a top 10. All right. All right. So that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. There's a lot that's going to be going on in the comments for this episode from top to bottom. A lot of people are going to want to be talking about whether they would rank uniforms. Probably some people that are angry that the Avalanche aren't on here. The things with the milestones and hardest working players. There's a lot to discuss in the comment section. So fire away, YouTube, or even Twitter if you want to go on there as well. But there you have it. The top 10. And maybe I even said this with Adam. Maybe we'll do one for the reverse retros
Oh,
when
yeah.
those are all out. If we don't do it network wide, we'll just do our own then. I have no problem doing that. So, all right, everyone, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Fire away in the comments, and thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. See you guys Wednesday.